Party people, what's going on? This is Samaj Marsh. I'm the founder of BlueDeathValley.com. And I want to welcome you back to another edition of Inside the Valley, the podcast that's devoted to relentless coverage of A&T football. Of course, I got my two co-hosts here. Help me start the show off right. First up, former A&T wide receiver and a Greensboro native, my man, Dougie Fresh Brown. What's going on, Douglas?
Hey guys, how we doing? Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride. And of course,
hey, Pride.
the brains of the operation, my right-hand man, beat writer on BlueDeathValley.com for over 2 decades, longtime insider, and the current president of the Greensboro chapter of the AAF, Craig Turner. What's going on, Craig?
Hey, what's up, guys? Back again for another week. Aggie Pride. Everybody doing all right?
Aggie Pride, definitely. So, guys, this is the night before Christmas, they say, right? We got the NFL draft on Thursday here in, I think, Kansas City, and got a bunch of Aggies who are putting their name in the hat, and they're trying to audition for the next level. And this is for football players. This is kind of like, Christmas Eve. Everybody who, after you have a great career, you want to see if you have a shot to play on Sundays. But tonight we're gonna talk all about the draft process, how it affects some of these A&T guys. But first, we got a special guest, and he knows a little something about the NFL draft. But we know him as one of our favorite sons. Consider him A&T royalty. He's a Hall of Famer, and probably one of the most popular guests that we've had on our show since we started. Let me bring in a friend of the show, Mr. Alan Hooker. What's going on, Hook?
Hey, Samaj, how you doing, man?
man, I'm living the dream. So Hook, let me just run through your bio real quick. I know you're humble, so I got to do it myself, So you are, like I said, you're A&T Hall of Famer. You were a MEAC champion. You were the National HBCU Player of the Year. Right, you broke over 15 school passing records, and probably just one of the coolest guys in the city of Greensboro. That you got a lot of titles, a lot of accolades, but I think some of your most important titles is you're a loving, devoted husband and a proud father. Right,
Absolutely.
And you have a lot to be proud about because you have a son who's actually a top prospect this week. Who's going to probably hear his name sooner rather than later, Hendon Hooker. Tell me, what has it been like this whole year, this whole crazy process of preparing for the NFL draft? What's it been like for Team Hook?
First off, man, thanks for allowing me the opportunity to be on the show. I love the work that you all do.
Yes,
love the fact that our Aggies can get tremendous exposure nationwide, and that's because of the commitment of you guys. So I really appreciate that. And, this year has been a tremendous year for us. I mean, one that we kind of drew out when, all our kids were born. We just kind of sit and have a conversation with them. What is your dream? What do you want to become? And as parents, it's important that we become shepherds. We're not engineers of our children. They don't come to us with a blank slate, but we understand that they have over 400 different psychological traits. Our job is to make sure that when they mature, they get to become what they want to. And so this month has been kind of surreal for us because we've always wanted this for Hendon and Austin because they want it. Not necessarily because that's something that we were driven to do, but they wanted to do this. And so to see it almost here is surreal.
And Doug, check this out. So I talked to Hook yesterday, and he was telling me you pretty much got to transform your home into a TV studio, right? Because the NFL is coming to set up shop, and they're going to document the whole process live at your crib. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we've got a couple of things going on. So we have ESPN. They're coming with a package, and got to have room for their lights. And then we have, of course, Fox 8 and FMY, because they're our local affiliates, and we want to make sure that they continue to cover local sports here. Right. We're going to be friendly to them and allow them to come in. Spectrum is coming in, and then NFL Films. And so, so we are, you know, man, when you start having guests coming around where you're living,
It's different.
you can't just leave the glass on the table like I normally would. You got to be more cautious, you know. So yeah, we've got a lot of folks that's coming, and you know, my daughter who does a lot of the things for the boys and their NIL and marketing representative, she's done a good job of getting folks together. So we've got a couple of sponsorships that's coming through, and I'm gonna spill the beans. I'm gonna let this thing out.
Uh-oh.
Hendon and I do a dish. You know, Doug Brown has never requested me to cook at his tail. And I do it pretty good. I stole the recipe from my aunt. Hendon stole it from me. And then he told Bush's Baked Beans that we do it. They wanted the recipe. He wouldn't give it to him. So he and I are making the beans together. And Bush sent a video crew to watch us do our thing. So that'll be fun.
That's all right. Well, we definitely gonna add that to the menu at the tailgate, man. The cook or baked beans. Let me write that down.
Oh man, that's gonna be a premium. So Hook, man, listen. So I can speak for Doug and Craig, man. We are living vicariously through you guys, and we're so proud. It's, you know, everyone says, you know, where's he gonna go? Because I mean, Hendon did not come to A&T. He did not play for the blue and gold, but he's an Aggie. Okay, he's probably on campus at G-Ho probably more than most people on our site, right? He's always there.
Hey, listen now. Hendon completed 15 semester hours at A&T.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
All right.
Okay, definitely. So, but he, you know, he's a native son, just like yourself. He's from Greensboro at Dudley. He was a star. Everybody in the whole mix is pulling for him, and to have one of our own in that position is just, you know, it's unprecedented, really. You know, you don't see that a lot. But just tell me, how has the family been juggling and balancing all that? 'Cause it has to be somewhat stressful, right?
Well, you know what? It's a good kind of stress.
Right.
The bad stress would be that wondering if your name is going to be called at all. I've been through that stress. So this stress it's a good stress. And we really feel the love and support from our friends and family here in the city of Greensboro, even people that we really don't know well, but they're excited and rooting for Hendon. We feel that, and we're happy about that. I mean, this is a great community to be a part of. And so that's kind of taking some of the stress away, that people say things like, I'm so happy for your family, so much so that it encourages me. I enjoy cheering for your family. And it's my dad. You can't buy that. It comes genuinely when people go out of their way to tell you that. It's a real humbling experience.
Right. And you met us as an Aggie Nation. You met us halfway. You gave some of your genetics to us, right? We got Austin Hooker, and he is a red shirt freshman. Is that correct? Will he be a sophomore next year?
He'll be a redshirt sophomore this fall.
Redshirt sophomore in the fall, and he is on the rise. His stock is on the rise. He just completed spring camp over at A&T, and he was one of the most talked about guys in the spring game with his performance at quarterback. And we'll talk about him a little bit later. I got some highlights from him, so you can critique your youngest son. So we're gonna talk all about that. And then of course, you have 3 children. You mentioned your daughter now.
Yeah.
She's kind of like the CEO of Team Hook, right? So she's helping bridge the gap and work the magic behind the scenes. So it's truly a family affair. Like I said, you guys are the first family of A&T football, and everybody is kind of rallying around. But right now, you know, Hendon is the spotlight's on him.
Yeah.
What have you heard from the so-and-so experts on where they project him to be selected?
See, man, this thing is amazing because when you're in the process, we really don't hear anything of substance.
Okay.
Because all the mock drafts anyone can do a mock draft, and based on what they think their team needs, or they know whatever they want to know about football. There are some people who have great relationships with GMs, and so some things may leak out. But I think most of what we're hearing is smoke and mirrors. We hear you may see some things. You hear Minnesota. You see You see Houston. You see, all those folks who may need a quarterback. Some folks have thrown out Detroit or different places, but you have no idea. The greatest poker players in America are NFL owners and GMs. I'll never forget reading a story about Reggie Bush where he was supposed to go to the Houston Texans.
Right.
And everybody knew that. And then all of a sudden, he's not there. I mean, and he didn't know that leading up to the day. He's in the green room, and that's where he think he's going, and switch. So, man, we don't know, but we are crazy excited over the excitement. And it's kind of like opening up a package and not knowing what's inside.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so out of us four that's on this panel right now, two of you guys actually, made it to that promised land as far as being invited to a NFL facility, and you were in training camps and pre-camps. Tell us, and Doug, you can interject too. If I'm pretty sure you've spoken to Hendon at some point. What was some advice, Al, that you gave Hendon just about the whole situation that he's about to embark into?
I really believe that his whole experience from high school, or even when he was playing for me, from that point to now, has prepared him to how the NFL works. Nothing has been given to Hendon Hooker. Let me say this clear.
Yeah.
This guy has worked tirelessly to get what he has. When he played for me, Samars, he did not start. Okay. Now, I had to deal with some pillow talk when I came home.
That's tough, man.
From my offense now, and he was smart. But when I needed that ball to be pushed down the field, he wasn't quite there yet. So I had another quarterback. But they played evenly, but he wasn't the starter just because he was my son. Then when he gets to Dudley as a freshman, the guy that I played in front of Hendon was 2 years ahead of Hendon. So when Hendon got to Dudley, he beat that kid out. And then his sophomore year, he became the starter. And you all know the story of Virginia Tech, and you know the story when he got to Tennessee. When he arrives on campus, the coach that recruited him gets fired that day. People don't realize this. We get there King Holiday weekend, and we can't get in the facility because Hendon's transcript from Virginia Tech hasn't arrived. So we spend 3 days trying to find him a place to stay. And then that Monday of the holiday, we find out that the coach is fired. Okay. All right. So we say, do we stay here? Do we go somewhere else? But we stick it out, and then they bring in Coach Hypo. Hendon has a spring game, and the last play of that spring game, he throws a pick six. He's not invited to the Manning camp. The other guy is invited to the Manning camp. When Hendon gets there that fall, Joe Milton is named the starter. And what he learned through that process is nothing is given. Stay to the grind. Don't listen to all the chatter to go where it's easy. He stuck with it, and that's what's going to happen in this league. I don't care where he's drafted. He got to fight to make the team. Just because you're drafted doesn't guarantee you a 53-man roster. So the real party should take place when the 53-man roster is determined. So that's the conversations that we're having. Keep everything in perspective. We're not going to get excited just because of the wedding. We're going to make commitment to the marriage. And that's the process that we go through.
And Doug, speaking on that a little bit, because like say, man, you were with the Bills organization, and
listen, let's get this straight. I was waiting for the draft to be over. That's when I get a call. Everybody got space for a minute. I was not a guy waiting to hear my name called. Now, I was a fan, I guess a participant because I was eligible, but no, I wasn't waiting on first day. Wasn't nobody but my mom and dad sitting there, and I don't even think cameras and cell phones were around there, so we were just hanging out. No, but on a serious note, man, I can't imagine what it would feel like to be in Hendon's shoes at this moment. Because again, all the hard work he's put in, and we are familiar with his story, but for me, it's just seeing this little young man that I've known almost since his birth, just growing into a fine young man, and that whole group of kids that he kind of came up with through high school. I mean, you know how special they are with Crossing, but just such special families, right? And I say those kids didn't take the traditional college route, because you spoke of the semester hours that Hendon has in the middle college, but you know, who would have known that COVID would hit, right? And they had that many years of college. You couldn't have gone back and wrote this story. People would have thought you were crazy, right? And for it to come down to the last game of the season on the road, I mean, the kid was a sneeze away from the Heisman, right? And many feel like he still should have won it.
Yeah.
And for me personally, because I can remember Hooker for Heisman bumper stickers floating around Greensboro, to see that actually come into fruition years later.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's God's plan, right? And so whether he won it or not, we know he's that kind of kid. He is definitely the MVP, and he's got the city on his back. He's got really the state on his back, and all the supporters. But yeah, man, I can't imagine, and I'm excited. You know, my one question for Alan was, what has been the most exciting part? Because most college athletes get to feel the love from getting recruited and getting courted and going to college, but it's a different world when you start to have those talks, you know, in the NFL level. So what would you consider the most exciting part, Alan, or not just exciting? What has caught you by surprise as well?
Well, I'll talk to you about being excited. One, I'm excited that I don't have to pay his car payment. I don't have to pay insurance, or I don't have to worry about him financially. I'm excited about that. So I can concentrate on I just got one. Now it's fine. We just need to make sure also taken care of. But throughout this process, I've been probably the most proud of the things that they say about my boy that is a character trait that everybody can do. See, everybody can't be 6'4". Everybody can't be 225 or 220. Everybody can't do that. But everybody can be kind. Everybody can study. Everybody can show themselves approved. Everybody can commit themselves to tasks. So when I hear GMs talk about how nice he was and how assertive he's been and confident that he is when he starts talking football and leadership, that blows me away. So I love to read those articles versus watching all his highlights. I like to hear when the GM says, we started asking him questions, and he even knew the Virginia Tech offense that he ran several years ago down to the nth degree and could call out coverages and new different stuff. That, to me, is what I look forward to listening to.
You know, that quick processing ability, that must be a genetic trait, because your youngest son, Austin, he seems to be having that gift, because you know, he was a couple weeks ago, we had our spring game here at A&T, and he was reading, making I'm talking about going through progressions. He looked super polished, and you know, he's probably was started off maybe third on the depth chart to begin camp, but I don't know if he's gonna stay there, because he did a lot. Let me I don't know. Were you in town? Did you get a chance to watch?
Yeah.
Him?
Oh yeah.
You went in town. So let's take a trip down memory lane real quick and just let people remember just some of the highlights he had from the most recent A&T spring game. That's a little throw right there. Can you see that, Al?
I can see that. Yeah.
And that's a little read option. So, you know, you got to give us a little scout report. So is that something that he's been working on?
Yeah. So what we do is we work on cognitive things. The most important thing when you're playing this quarterback position is your eyes, because all the information comes through there. So if your eyes are in the right place, you can get the right information and your body can react appropriately. And so that's one thing we take great pride of. If he knows he's going to do zone read, get your feet where they need to be so your eyes can be positioned, and watch that guy. And if you know what you're looking for, you don't have to take a lot of time making the decision to release the ball. That is the conversation. And the reason that Hendon and Austin can do this well is because they got the same mama. Boy, when you hit the door, I'm always cool. Like, hey, what's up, y'all? I just want to talk. Hey, what movies have you seen? She is like, you know, you lifting your back foot up when you're throwing, right?
Oh man,
Leverage and power. Hey, what were your eyes on this? And are you manipulating the safety? She gets into it, man.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So here's some more of his highlights. And I remember you was telling me, Al, one of the toughest throws that quarterback has to make, and it really is going to be the thing that the scouts really pick you apart on, is that throw from the hash to the opposite sideline.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it is tough at A&T's field. A lot of fans may not know this. We still have a crown on
Yes. Yes.
It can hurt, and sometimes it can help. So if you're throwing a deep 25-yard out, that crown helps you because the ball's going to travel a little further because the receiver is going downhill. Doug can attest to that, running those 25-yard comebacks. If the quarterback's arm is not as strong, it can work with that. But if you're running a hitch, that thing may be high. So when you see a lot of quarterbacks throwing the ball high at A&T, it's not necessarily because of their release. It's because there's a crown on the field, and it causes the ball to float high.
Man, that's some inside information. That's some inside information right there.
I remember last year we had a couple of receivers who missed post routes, and they were criticized. But if you're the number one receiver running a post route on our field, once you hit that plant, you start running upfield.
Yep.
You're running uphill to catch that. And the reason that it's tough is because you don't practice on the game field. The practice field doesn't have a crown. So that post route looks good in practice. When you get in that game, it's like he's just off a step, or he's just overthrown, or he just drops it. It's because of that going uphill. So it's tough, man.
It's an adjustment. Yep. That was one of my favorites. I mentioned this last show where he went through 3 different looks. He went to the left, to the right, and back to the middle. And I mean, that's what you coach up, right? That's exactly how you coach it up.
You got to give those eyes. But on this throw, let me tell you what I like about this throw. And if you ever get a chance to zoom in and watch it, his hands separate before his left foot hits. That is critical in quarterbacking getting the ball released, because if you step before your hands separate, the ball is not on the shelf, so you don't get as much on it.
Mm.
So you want that foot to hit there and cause that kinetic energy to flow up, and then he gets it out there. And so, and this is not a knock on the previous staff.
Right.
But the previous staff did not believe that a quarterback could improve his arm strength. And so they
disagree with that. Yeah, I disagree with that.
Yeah, I disagree with that. And so that's what they told the guys, that they're looking for a quarterback to come in with it, but you're never going to develop it. Well, I can attest to it from Hendon, Austin, even myself. Once you get your fundamentals right, if that foot can hit first and that ball is on the shelf and that kinetic energy, doesn't matter how much you bench, that thing comes off your hand.
Because you get power from the ground. That's what I tell my oldest. You get power from the ground.
You get power from the ground. That's right. That's right, man. That's right.
Man, okay. So we was gonna
go
keep on through this. This is the money shot right here, I think.
Yeah. Woo. That's a good one. And so Mark, we call that good customer service.
Oh yes.
Okay. You put the ball where the guy can go run. That's good customer service.
That's what I said on our show last week. I said the reason why he was able to get into the box is because that ball was exactly where it needed to be. If he throws that thing 6 inches behind him or low, and he has to make a break in his momentum, he's going to get tackled. But because he was able to flow forward, with his hands out to catch that ball in stride, he was able to. I mean, Austin almost led him into the end zone with the pass, right?
Right. No, that's right. That's right.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So, man, just tell me, man. You got a daughter and you got Hendon, but just talk a little bit about the pride that you also have in your youngest son, Austin, who's he had just like everybody else. He had adversity. You talked about your adversity you had when you were at A&T.
Yeah.
We all know about the adversity Hendon had, especially at Virginia Tech. But Austin has had to deal with his own adversity, and he's following that hooker path, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. One thing I would never underestimate the power that these boys have to get better. They strive to get better. They believe in the right habits. But what impresses me most is some of Austin's teammates don't know me. So as I get to meet them and I'm introducing myself to them or whatever, without prompting, they tell me what kind of teammate Austin is. And then I'm like, well, that's my son. They're like, really? But I just thought, hey man, how you enjoying your time on the team? What's it like? And are you enjoying yourself? And what you need or whatever. He said, man, I really like the guys, man. There's one guy, man. He always keeps me up. He always goes hard, and he's friendly, and he's willing to help everybody. I mean, when I met Eli's dad told me that Austin constantly reaches out to help Eli, to help Zach.
But people don't know that Eli and Austin are best friends, and people don't know that. That's like the best kept secret. But they're like the tightest guys on the team.
Yeah,
Eli
man.
And Austin.
Yeah, and they're competing every day. He said, Dad,
Right.
I want to beat him out. But Dad, if I beat him out, I want to beat him out at his best. I want him to be his best. He's my teammate.
Right.
And so that's the cool thing that I love. And them boys are Aggies now. Because everybody talking about, man, one of y'all going to be in the portal. Like, man, we're Aggies.
And Craig, you really was high on Austin before a lot of people, even last year. Give us the scout report in your mind on Austin Hooker, and just talk a little bit about his potential upside. Like, what can we expect from him? He keeps on maturating.
I think Austin has all the ability in the world. I think with him, it's just a matter of getting playing time and continuing to improve. He's got the arm, he's got the feet, he's got the eyes. Like Alan said, he understands the quarterback position, and to really and a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of guys have got a lot of physical talent and whatnot, but they haven't mastered the mental aspect of the game. And I see that maturation in Allen, in Austin, and in Eli. Those two guys are, to me, interchangeable right now. That's why I said last week, I think it's going to come down between those two. I don't think it's a given that either one of them at this point is it's going to be interesting come August. It's going to be a real battle to see who's going to be there. But either way, we're in good shape at quarterback. We're in excellent shape at quarterback going into the fall.
I agree with you, Greg. That's a great statement, and I appreciate those compliments about Austin. Yeah.
And shout out to Zach Yeager. He's in the mix too. The Minnesota Kids, I call him. He had a strong spring, and so we got a 3-headed monster, a little competition going on right now, and made the best man win. But it's like, say, at the end of the day, the winner is going to be the AAT football program, because we're going to get somebody who's going to be a proven, battle-tested starter to come out of that. And one thing about Austin, one thing that he has in his kind of advantage, his secret sauce, he has an older big brother, right? And Hendon has been through the gauntlet before. What is talk about their relationship? Because it's unique, right?
It is extremely unique, and I kind of got a little jealous at one point because Austin, I give some instructions to Austin, and he looks at Hendon. And go ahead and do that. It's okay. Go ahead and do that. Right? Those guys, and they're so tight. Austin's gonna be mad at me when I tell this story, but when Hendon was in middle school and he had his best game in middle school, Austin was in the elementary school. We sitting there watching the game, and Hendon's playing so well. Austin's left eye, tear fell out of his left eye, and I was like, "Man, are you okay?" He said, "I'm just so happy for Hendon."
Yeah.
And we're at the University of Miami. Hendon's first start while he's at Virginia Tech, and has a great game. They win the game. I look over at Austin, that same tear falling. I said, man, you good? He said, just so happy for Hendon. That is his guy, and he ain't afraid to show it. And he'll tell you right now, the best player in the country, forget the draft, the best player in the country, period, is Hendon Hooker. And
by the way, you won't say it, but I'll say it. It was an absolute crime that he was not invited to New York for
I agree.
The Heisman Trophy Award. He should have at least been invited because prior to him getting injured, I thought he was the front runner, right?
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, I thought I've met personally some of the writers. And they had Hendon as the number one, but they've never had anyone to get hurt win it. And so that's how they do it, man. I was blown away. But I appreciate that, guys. I do.
Was he really disappointed, or is that just going to be another chip on the shoulder?
Another chip.
Yeah.
Another chip. Yeah, another reason. Hendon's whole life, even after he got hurt, he said it stung emotionally at first. That Sunday night, he called and said, God is trying to write another chapter.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to let him write it. And he said, I'm going to go through this journey. It's going to help somebody. So I was encouraged by that, man. So he had a good mental space.
Well, here was one of the most exciting chapters of that Hendon Hooker experience. Let me see if this
Hendon Hooker looking to throw, scanning things, throwing, and complete. And he got
35. What did this one get him? About 18 to 20?
big hit at the end of it. First down midfield. Hendon Hooker can't take a sack. Double clutches, throws. It is caught. Do they get the timeout? Brew McCoy.
And remember, the clock stops on the first down.
From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it.
So, man, I think all of us knew we know where we were when we saw that game, because everybody was watching that live, man. That was a game of the year at the time. Hendon Hooker versus Bryce Young, Tennessee versus Alabama, and that was the signature moment. That was the Heisman moment right there.
That really was. That was his Heisman moment. And he told, before the game, he said, "Dad, I'm gonna give you a birthday gift." Because that was my birthday. And I said, "Okay, man, go."
Okay.
And he said, "Go to the store. See, everybody gonna be smoking cigars, Dad. Go to the store and get some bubblegum cigars. I'm not gonna do one."
Right.
You one of them bubblegum cigars. But yeah, that was a great moment, man. Thanks for showing that. Yeah, that's his story.
Tell me, why did he feel confident going into that game? What about it? The film study, the preparation. What is about it that made him feel like this is going to be the time that I show the nation who I am?
He felt like he let the team down last year when they played Alabama, because he misread. Guy got a pick six and took their momentum, and he said, "Dad, we have their number, and we're not afraid of them, and we're going to prepare like we normally prepare." And if you recall, he spotted them 6 points because he dropped the ball.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. Now, when I went back and watched it, I said, "Hen, I looked at that film. I don't know if you dropped it because you had turned away." He said, "Yeah, Daddy, but that young running back couldn't take blame for that. It'd kill his whole career. I had to take the blame for that." I said, "Okay." But they gave him 6, and he said, "I knew we could beat them." And, man, I tell you what, though, the cool thing, they really could have beat them by 3 or 4 touchdowns. But Bryce Young is a magician. And I'm gonna go on air and share this with you now, that I'm watching the game with my hater vision on. Boy, still impressed me. I made it a point to reach out to his dad, make sure we become good friends. We talk all the time, but I wanted to let him know that 5'10", 180 pounds, can play football at a high level. That boy is a magician, man.
And Bryce Young and Hendon are not the only people that you have personal contacts with who will be hear their name called this weekend.
Yeah.
You have extensive reach on a lot of people's, especially here in North Carolina. But just talk about some other guys who giving some mentoring to, some advice to, who are in this process now.
Yeah, man. So everybody, with the exception of C.J. Stroud and Richardson, well, we're good friends with Will Levis.
Okay,
we get a chance to talk because he transferred too, and so it's important that we know that, hey man, I know what you're going through. Even though we're competing, want you to do well. We wish you the absolute best. Cedric Tillman, who was Hendon's receiver in Tennessee, his dad played at Alcorn State. And went to the Denver Broncos. Well, his position coach, check this out, Doug, was Mo Forte.
Oh man.
Small world.
So when we're together at the Tennessee games, I'm sitting there talking to the Tillmans. We're talking about Mo Forte and the things that he said, the stuff that he would prep and the knowledge for that game, man. I mean, it's just incredible. Jalen Hyatt, who will also be in this draft this year from South Carolina, played AAU basketball with Hendon with Team Felton. And so there's a lot of family connections here. And and we had a chance to talk to Stetson Bennett's father.
Oh,
Stetson's story is incredible. I learned it so I could tell it in a speech, Doug, when I give my motivational talks. I want to talk about Stetson Bennett's story. It's amazing. But his dad is such a great guy. And here's how grounded he is. He calls me, and we're not talking about the national championship. We're not talking about his son's trip to New York. He says, hey, Alan, we snatched one out of the devil's mouth today. I had a chance to witness the gospel to a guy, and he said yes, and now we're doing Bible study. I'm getting to teaching about Jesus. Isn't that wonderful? That's what kind of guy he is. I mean, man, so, my little boy's journey has allowed me to kind of reach some tentacles and meet some really fantastic people.
Well, I tell you what, man, it's been really cool to follow the ESPN special with the Mannings and get another behind-the-scene look, not only of Hendon's development and his interaction with the Manning family, but getting that behind-the-scenes look of you and Wendy and the rest of the family, man. It's been so neat to see you all in a different light as a father and as a fan. And so I really like that they highlighted you all and had you guys mic'd up. And you're right. Wendy is right there saying, "Hook, Alan, did you see that play? That boy good. Did you see that move?" She's just as locked in as she was when she was watching you play back at A&T. But I think that is so phenomenal, man. And for those who haven't had a chance to watch that special, man, it's worth digging up and checking out before the draft or before tomorrow night. So, but it's just awesome. And I was watching it with my mother, and she just was taken back. And wow. I'm telling you, it's just really special to see. For all Aggie fans and anybody that knows the Hooker family, man, you all 100%, what you see is what you get on that film, and you guys are so genuine. But we really appreciate the effort that you've made to not only support Hendon and support Austin, but to do it in the manner that you guys do it with such class. I don't know what your travel plans are for next year, but I know you guys will burn up the highway and
hey, man,
freaking fly miles going back and forth. So get ready. Now might need to go ahead and get a deal with Delta, whoever. Jet Blue, Honda's around the corner. Maybe Honda Jet needs to go ahead and look out for y'all, man. Y'all gonna burn it up.
We're going
back and forth.
For all you Aggie fans, I've already purchased my Rhode Island ticket. So if you buy your airline ticket now to Rhode Island, you get a good deal.
Yes. And one more video I want to bring up, and this was I saw this on social media, and I want to ask you some questions about this. This was Hendon working out with a quarterback coach, and his mechanics were divine, man. I tell you, I showed my son this, and we broke this thing down. Probably
hold on now, you didn't tell the whole story. He's not standing up.
No, he's on his knee. He's on a knee.
He's on a knee.
And I mean, if you are a promising quarterback, or you coach quarterbacks, or you're a football coach, you need to watch that little 5-second, 10-second excerpt, because that's perfect. That's like the way it's written up in the quarterback manual. First of all, who is his quarterback coach now that he's been working with in all season?
That is Steve Calhoun, who
Okay.
is out of California, and he runs Armed and Dangerous. And
Okay.
he does a great job in preparing quarterbacks, and he's a quarterback whisperer. He knows how to say things to kind of get corrections, and he fit that. But Hendon was also fortunate to be trained by the Tennessee coaching staff, Coach Hypo and Coach Hosley and Mitchell. Those guys too spend on a daily basis. They know how to slow down the film to correct the little things that the naked eye cannot see. I mean, those guys, I thought I knew quarterbacking, man. Listen, every time I'm with them, I got.
Well, hey, tell us about, before you go, man, tell us about the rehab process and how that's going. Last time I spoke with, Hendon, I just was encouraging him, continue to rehab, get that thing right, 100%, 110%. Not that he's going to do that anyway. He don't need me to tell him that, but that's my wish for him, that he's just good health. How's that process been going? And
he's
what's
probably
his mentality?
Doug, thanks for asking. He's probably about 3 months ahead, and which is scary. He so yesterday, was it this morning? This morning did his first run, and he's feeling good. He was at 80%, still explosive, and the knee is feeling fine, and he's excited. So just want to make sure that he doesn't have to speed up. Based on what we're hearing from GMs, based on his medical report, he's probably going to get a good bill of health before the season even starts. But the GMs are like, we are happy with his progress, which is, I think, one of the reasons why he kind of moved up in the conversations to first or second round, is because of the progress of the healing of his knee and the way that he went and conducted himself in those interviews.
Talk a little bit about that process too, because that has to be a stressful deal when you are, you talk about multi-millions at stake here, and you got to make it a good impression, and then everybody is trying to find warts. They don't want to see all your best highlights. They want to see what is the string we can pull on this sweater to make everything unravel. And I hate to say it, man, but you saw the stuff that came out this past week with CJ Stroud, and there was like a little shadow campaign to discredit him. Yeah, they talked about the not the Wonderlic test. They got new. Cognitive test, and how all this stuff is leaks out from all, from, I don't even know if it's accurate. Talk about that process and how you guys navigate that.
Yeah, well, you don't just take. Several teams offered him the S2, and so you may just maybe that one that leaked out may have been the one that he was tired on. Sometimes they get you in these buildings, man. It's almost like they're pledging, because the interviewing process is strenuous. So they send you a playbook the day before. You learn that play, you learn those plays. Then you must know your plays. Every play that you have on film, you better know it, because they're going to ask you to dissect it. Then you get there, and they ask you a series of questions. You got a panel interview. Then you go to the board, and you're talking things on the board, and he may have taken his S2 exam at the end of all this arduous process.
So every team has their own exam.
Oh yeah, everybody gonna do their own thing, man. Yeah.
Also, so if you see a score for like Bryce Young, and they say he got a certain score, that was only for one particular team. Another team, he could have had a different score.
Exactly. Yeah. Because
every
team doesn't. Go ahead.
So I'm saying, so the leaks that we see, even if they are accurate, that's only from one of 32 teams.
One, right? Could be from one.
Wow, I did not know that.
Each team has to have their own account. They don't. It's not the NFL general report. So you may have 7 teams who do the S2. The other 20 some do something else. So they don't subscribe to the same agency to collect that data and that information. Yeah.
All right, give me an idea, because like I say, I'm pretty good for my age. I'm pretty good shape, but I don't think I'm gonna get any testing from the NFL anytime soon. So give me an idea. What are some of the questions that are on those tests?
So what's on the S2 is most of this stuff is kind of like your eyes receiving information and you responding to it. Craig, you probably remember this. Doug is probably too young for this thing, but you remember that little Simon Says game where the green light comes on and the yellow light and the red light, and then that you do it in a certain kind of rhythm, and you got to remember
like a sequence.
Yeah, like a sequence.
Yeah.
Some of it's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so all those teams have those different cognitive tests, and the S2 is the new one that came out that's cognitive. And the Wonderlic has been around for years, and people have had their different thoughts and impressions about the Wonderlic and the reason why they implemented it. And maybe one of them could have been because of Eddie Robinson, but there's a lot of reasons why those tests are put in place, and teams use them, and they can come in to play a role in where we value an individual, but for the most part, you still got to go play football.
And that speaks on communication skills.
Sure, yes.
And that is something we were actually having a little discussion on our message board, BlueDeathValley.com, the fan forum. We were talking about that this week, about how some players in this generation, that's not one of their strong suits. A lot of high school kids who get recruited right now, they have to understand that when you're talking to coaches and you're talking to media, it's not with social media hashtags. You have to speak a little bit more formal. Can you just talk about how you helped you and your wife just helped all your kids with this, presenting themselves to the public, having great communication skills? Let's talk a little bit about that.
From an early age, we begin to read out loud, even if it's simple stuff. Craig is closer to my age. Craig, remember when we used to go to church and we had to do them Easter speeches? We had to do Easter speeches, right? Yeah. So, my kids didn't grow up in that era, so we just felt like that the better they have on the English language, they practice looking each other in the eye. And that was something we really had to work with Hendon on when he was younger, is picking his head up. And it comes with a regular routine. And we buy the SAT cards that break the word down. And one of my proudest moments was I found this card in this old bookstore that would take words and break it down and tell a story behind it. So one of the first words that I taught my kids was the word bellwether. And it comes from in old terms where the sheep herder, sheep were considered weathers. That was the name for them. And the Bible talks that the sheep are the dumbest animals ever. And that's what he compares us to, are sheep. Because if one fall off the cliff, the whole lot would go. So they would put a bell around one sheep and everybody would follow the sound. So the word was bellwether. And the word bellwether means leader. And when I told my kids the story, they now use bellwether in their regular conversation. That who's the bellwether of this outfit? Who's the bellwether of this team? Who's going to be the bellwether and step up tonight and help us win this game, right? And all that stuff was leading to helping them on the SAT, but helping them to be better communicators, to be confident, and that if you can speak clearly on the words that you know, you don't have to use fancy ones that others don't know.
And see, that's one of the common things about the Hooker family. Everything that's poured into you, you give back to the community. So with that lesson that you imputed with your sons, they now are giving back in the form of their own book for young athletes, the ABCs of Scriptures for Athletes. And that was co-written both by Hendon and Austin. They got together and wrote this wonderful book that's you can get up. You can buy it now at hookedonsports.org. Yep. Hookedonsports.org. You can go, and this is a great gift any time of the year, especially for young athletes. If they want to get some of that Hooker magic and understand the principles that's guided both of your kids to where they are now. And this book came out a couple years ago, and it's really changing lives, huh?
It really is. It really is. I see how young kids are in tears when they get a chance to talk to Hendon about the book, because their parents were fighting with them to try, just to try to read or try to do something. And then they really felt confident that, man, I didn't know big, strong quarterbacks like you and Austin had problems, and that this is what you use to solve your problems. And so it's been fantastic. They took when both of them were going through, Austin was a deadly, struggling, couldn't get on the field, being misunderstood. It was tough. Hendon at Virginia Tech, and as a father, I want to say the right thing, man. I didn't know what to say because I've always started. I didn't know. I didn't know what that was like, man. So, my wife and I let's just send them the word of God. And so when they asked me, Dad, what should I do in this situation? Man, we just send them scripture. And they began to read them and took it serious. And they got together and they put down their favorite 26 and put in alphabetical order and came out with this book. They wanted the pictures to be real cartoonish because they wanted athletes, especially kids, to gravitate to it, hang on to it, enjoy looking at the pictures, but then also enjoy reading the scriptures.
The ABCs of Scriptures for Athletes by Hendon and Austin Hooker. You can find it. You can purchase it on hookedonsports.org. I'm gonna have to order some more for my kids, man. Let's have like a little on the coffee table. So when guests come in the house, let's have it laid out there, man. But check this out. I keep saying this. I got a aspiring quarterback who lives right down the hallway. And he asked me, how come Mr. Hooker, how come he has not helped me and worked out with me? I say he's busy. He got a son that's going about to go, first round. He got another son at A&T. You got to wait. I said one day, Xander, there's gonna be the Hooker Passing Academy, and hopefully, I can pay him $20, let you in.
Craig,
So
I got to give this to Craig. Craig, you got to help me with this because
all right.
I don't know about you guys, but I went to Northern to see a particular quarterback play and talked to him and told you that anytime I'll take your boy. I like what he does. I like his fire, and the team moved when he came in the game. I mean, yeah, he's an aspiring guy. You tell that brother that I'm committed to him after May 1st.
yes, yeah, we gotta wait a little bit, but yeah, we're not for real. Hey, Hendon, I say Hendon, y'all look like twins. Al, I gotta say, man, every time I ask you for something, you always say yes. Like I don't even know if you're capable of saying no. But I really, and this I'm not the only person who feels that way. Everybody who's in this area, you've always just gave everything yourself, your whole family. You've been a champion for A&T, an ambassador for A&T. You've guided so many people. I mean, just not on the football field, but just through education and life, man. You're one of those guys that if you run into them at the grocery store, you're gonna talk to him about 2 to 5 minutes, and then when you come home, when you leave, you can be like, who I talked to? I talked to Alan. Look at the grocery store. That's how you impact, and your personality always affects people. So I just want to thank you again for coming out, Doug. You're close to this family, man. What is your feelings going to be like to Thursday night when that NFL draft starts and you see one of your own in the mix?
Just happy for the entire family. Again, like you said, it is a family thing. It's not just Alan and his immediate family, but it's his dad. It's the legacy he left, and Ed, man. I mean, what a special family. And now you even see the trickle on down. The Iris's little man, and he's doing his thing too. He's the next up, right? If you ain't seen him play, get ready because he's making his way too. But couldn't be more happy for the family, man. You guys deserve everything that's coming your way, and I'm just excited to see the next chapter. This is one moment, and I try to stay away because I'm just enjoying being a fan, right? It's like being that guy behind the scene and watching. I call it like being Rock on Rudy. You remember the character Rock played on Rudy at the end of the game when Rudy he's just clapping and just clapping like that. That's what I think when I see him. I'm just like being in the shadows and watching him do his thing, man. I couldn't be more proud of his progression and knowing some of the things he's been through and the way he went through it with his head up and chest out, man. It's just he deserves everything that's coming his way, and the best is yet to come. I think that's the most exciting part, right? He's already won. He's already a champion. He's already doing well, but the best is yet to come, and I'm just excited to become a fan of whatever team he's going to be a part of. So, you know, I haven't officially got rid of all my NFL gear, but when that time comes, I'm getting in line. I'm jumping on the board, on the bandwagon, wherever that young man is, man, because he deserves it.
Thank you, Dick. I appreciate that, man.
But you, Craig, how you going to get the popcorn ready for Thursday night, man? You going to be watching it?
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching with great anticipation on this draft. With everything that Hendon has gone through in his career, it's a testament, I think, to his parents. I really do to keep the young man focused, keep him on target. Even through the good times, the bad times, it's real easy to get caught up in things when things are going well, but the test comes when you hit that wall, you hit that adversity, and do you stay together? Do you pull together and to help this young man along? And I just can't say enough, Alan. You guys have done a tremendous job with both your sons, and my hat's off to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, man. So kind. Hey, and thank you for you guys, man. Inside the Valley, we are so appreciative of the work that you do, because I know this is a helpful recruitment tool, and it helps to keep A&T on the forefront of life, and it helps to keep folks informed of what's going on with. We love all our teams, but I do believe the ones that's in that funny shaped ball might be our favorite team to go watch.
Yeah, and before we get off, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention there's also some A&T seniors who are going to be hopefully waiting around and hearing their name. Might not be day one, but like you say, as long as they give you a phone call,
that's right.
You good money. But so let's give keep our fingers crossed for Jalen Fowler, Devin Harrell, Romello Kimbrough, Zach Leslie, Jermaine McDaniel, Amir McNeil, Joseph Stuckey, and Dak Wilson. All those guys are draft eligible, and they participated in the recent pro day over, I think, North Carolina State, and all of them had a couple of guys, Zach Leslie, McDaniels, and Fowler. They actually had some post-season bowl invites. They got a chance to showcase themselves on the field to some NFL guys. So the sky's the limit for everybody. And now the cool thing is Hook, is that even if you don't get that phone call for the NFL, they got the USFL back up.
Yes. Yeah.
The XFL looks great. Yep. We've been watching 30. I got Jermaine Martin.
Look for 30 to get in somebody's camp this year.
Yeah. So there's so many more avenues to get to that next level. It can be traditional like the NFL, or you can go a different route and kind of circumvent it and get back there. So sky's the limit, man.
So Tamar, before we go, man, I want to give a special shout out when we're talking about NFL draft, NFL and Aggies to North Carolina A&T graduate that is the head coach over at Dudley High, and that's Steve Davis.
Yes, sir.
2 active players playing in the NFL, and hopefully with Hendon's name being called out, we've got Dak Wilson, who has an opportunity to be called out. That will be 4 Dudley guys that's actively playing in the league should that happen. Just so you know, Dudley is tied now with 9 guys in the history of Dudley High School that's played in the NFL. They're tied on a 5-way tie in the state of North Carolina for second place. And so if Hendon and Dak goes, Dudley will be tied for first place with the most NFL players in the state of North Carolina. And 7 of them would have been coached by Steve Davis.
That's all right.
And look, we talked about his son Deuce last week on our show. He showed out during that spring game, so he's gonna be in the mix.
He's gonna be
Deuce is gonna be special. You watch. He's gonna be doing something nice, and in 2 or 3 years, we'll invite his daddy and to talk about what it feels like to have a kid called out on draft day.
All right. So Hook, I can't take no more of your time, man. I just want to thank you once again for agreeing to do this on short notice, and I know you got a super busy weekend. It's not even going to stop once Hendon's name is called. You got so much media and stuff is going to be you're going to be engulfed in it for a while. So let's go ahead and prepare. But you're prepared. You're ready for it. You're built for this.
We're built for it.
But look, man, listen, we love you. We are so proud of you and everything that you've accomplished with your family, and we're seeing it again and again with your boys and your daughter. So just best of luck to you guys this week, and we're just gonna be rooting for you.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having.
So for the Hall of Famer Allen Hooker, Doug Dougie Fresh Brown, and Craig Turner, I am Samaj Marsh. This has been a special draft preview edition of Inside the Valley. We'll see you next time. Peace. Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.